If you saw my recent Pain Cave tour video, you may remember that I mentioned having a big upgrade planned. Well, that upgrade is here, and as you can probably tell from behind me, it's a treadmill. So welcome to this video in which I'll give you a quick overview of the treadmill and go through a few of the reasons as to why I decided to invest in one. So to begin, a bit about the treadmill itself. This is a Reebok Jet 300, which probably sits around the middle of the spectrum, maybe creeping up towards the higher end just ever so slightly. Now, of course, it's not the sort of quality treadmill that you'd find in a commercial gym, for example. They are ridiculously expensive and quite frankly, way overkill for what I need. Now, I could have gone a little bit cheaper if I wanted to, but what made me get this particular model was the top speed. This one reaches 20 kilometers per hour, which in terms of pace per kilometer is a 3-minute kilometer pace. This is perfect for me and in fact covers all of the paces that I can ever imagine doing on the treadmill. Assembly wise, it was relatively easy to put together, but definitely a two-person job. Now, I'm not going to go into the nuts and bolts about the treadmill and give you a full-on review in this video, but if you do want to see a review, leave a comment down below and let me know and I'll be sure to do one. So you're probably wondering now why I decided to buy a treadmill in the height of summer. Well, there is a few reasons as to why. Firstly, it was quite heavily discounted, and that's what ultimately made me pull the trigger and order it. I have been considering buying a treadmill for quite a while now, maybe even a year. So when I was looking around for one and noticed the Jet 300 was 20% off, it cost me £800 instead of £1,000. That sealed the deal for me. Now, having my newborn son Jack, that's probably the main reason as to why I wanted a treadmill in the first place. Along with having the bike on the Wahoo Kicker, it will allow me to train 2 of the 3 disciplines at home, so it generally just makes things a lot more flexible in terms of family life. When there comes a time where I need to look after Jack or Stacey needs me around for whatever reason, yet I still want to get a run in, I can now. Without the treadmill, that wouldn't be possible. Now, a few scenarios where I plan on using the treadmill over going outside. Firstly, when the weather is particularly bad. Now, although we've had a very good summer so far, the weather is inevitably going to change. I'm not usually too fussed about running in the rain, but running in the wind is a bit of a different story. So the treadmill will come in really useful during those cold, dark winter months where running outside isn't quite as enjoyable. Now, I don't intend on the treadmill replacing running outside whatsoever. I'm going to still do the majority of my running outside, but it's nice to know that the treadmill is there should I not fancy running outside for whatever reason. When it comes to doing brick runs, I don't mind doing them outside whatsoever, but doing them on the treadmill inside will just be a little bit more convenient. I can jump off the bike, walk literally 2 steps, put my trainers on and start running. My thinking is that this will better simulate what actually happens in a triathlon, and so doing it consistently over winter and spring will hopefully improve my performance in my 2023 races. Another way I plan on using the treadmill is to test new trainers. Now, I'm absolutely fine for trainers at the moment. I don't need any new ones, but when it comes to getting a new pair, I can test them out on the treadmill first. Now, although a lot of places appreciate that you need to test trainers first and therefore offer a generous returns policy, not all of them do. Not to mention the fact that running inside on the treadmill will mean that the trainers don't get dirty or potentially scuffed, and so should I need to return them for whatever reason, I'm more likely to be able to do so. This is quite important for me as I found that my most recent pair of trainers were ever so slightly too small despite being my normal size 12s. The treadmill is fast enough for even the fastest of my intervals, and so it will be perfect should I want to do a specific session which wouldn't be as easy to do outside. Although it will take a few seconds to both increase and decrease the speed, I won't have to worry about things like hills and the wind, and so I should be able to stick better to those paces. I can also do some of my slower pace runs on the treadmill, as I think it will be easier to stick to both a particular pace and heart rate consistently over time. Now, I'm not afraid to admit that I've had some digestive issues in the past, which has affected my running somewhat. Should I not be 100% confident on running outside, I can simply run on the treadmill instead. If an emergency stop is needed, I can simply stop the treadmill, jump off, take care of business, and then get back on again. It will also make practicing fueling a bit easier, so I can have my water bottle and some gels right next to me and not have to worry about wearing a hydration pack outside. Now, the weather today is a bit grim and I have a run scheduled, so I'm going to do that on the treadmill just after this. I'm going to be running on Zwift for the first time, so expect the next video after this one to be a recap of that experience and how that went. If you click on the screen just there, you can see my most recent video, which was my first sprint distance triathlon in Bideford. That video is a recap of that race. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you could drop it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and also drop a comment down below with anything that you'd like to see from me in the future. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.